What up, nerds? I'm Jay Sharif. Welcome to another episode of Tech Tuesdays. Every Tuesday I make a video talking about whatever tech or gadget I've bought in the last week. And I've had 2 deliveries in the last 7 days. Both of them related to vlogging and linked to previous episodes I've made. Let's start with the more expensive item. By the way, if you're hoping for unboxing videos, this isn't the place for that. I don't enjoy them, so I'm just not doing them anymore. So, a few weeks back, I built myself the perfect vlogging rig, and as part of that setup, I purchased a cheap and not very rugged LED light for nighttime filming. However, what I really wanted was a decent, waterproof vlogging light. Unfortunately, the waterproof lights were always ridiculously expensive. Luckily, I discovered that Ulanzi have released a reasonably priced, rugged and waterproof LED light that's ideal for vlogging. It's called the Ulanzi L1 and I got mine for less than £30 from Amazon. Now, the first thing that worried me about this when I opened it up is this USB charging port. It's totally open to the elements. Ulanzi assures us, however, that this thing is entirely waterproof, including this charging port, all the way down to 10 meters, that's about 30 feet. So you could use it for diving too, which is great news. I probably won't be testing the waterproofing though. I'm just glad that this thing can cope with a rain shower, because that's about the limit of the action I expect it to see. As well as the charging cable, the light basically comes with just 2 accessories. Firstly, there's this cold shoe adapter that allows you to attach the light to a camera or camera cage. Oh, and if you don't know what a cold shoe is, then check out my last Tech Tuesdays video where I explained the terms hot shoe and cold shoe. The second accessory that Ulanzi provides with the light is some filters. I've got a white diffuser and a couple of orange colour filters too. That might seem like a strange choice, but it does make sense, I promise you. Basically, it's all to do with colour temperature. There are usually 2 types of colour that most lights will give you as standard. Firstly, bright white light, which has a colour temperature of 5500 Kelvin, which is often written as 5500 K. That is what's supposed to come out of this Ulanzi LED light, which is basically the colour of pure, bright sunlight at noon, 5500 K. However, as you get closer to sunrise or sunset, the colour of the light starts to change. At first it becomes more yellow, and then it starts to get more orange in tone. Orange light can produce some beautiful images, and that's why a lot of photographers like to take pictures just before sunset, when everything is bathed in a kind of golden glow. They even have a term for it, golden hour. Now, orange light has a colour temperature of about 3200 Kelvin, and by putting this orange filter on the Ulanzi L1, you can adjust the temperature of the light for a look that more closely mimics that golden hour vibe. Anyway, that's a very, very simplified explanation of colour temperature. I have now charged this cube. At first I thought it was broken because every time I pressed the button, nothing happened. Then I read the instruction manual. You're supposed to hold the button to turn it on. There are 4 power settings. When you first turn it on, it's at its minimum power. Each press of the button changes the light intensity, and if you want to turn it off, you have to hold down the button again. Right, time to head outside at night time and test this light against the cheaper version that I bought earlier. Right, so it's 3:30 in the morning. It is pitch black here by the canal. Let's see what it looks like when I turn on my old cheapo LED light. Whoa. Okay, so can you see me? Can you see anything else? Okay, so that's the cheapo LED light. I've turned that on to full brightness, which is probably too much, quite frankly. Let's turn it down a little. This has dimming capabilities, so we can go all the way down to 0. Now, let's try the Ulanzi L1 and see what that looks like. Oh, that's the Ulanzi L1. Let's show you the canal. No, so that's the Ulanzi L1. I think that's at minimum power. That's a little brighter still, and brightest. I think that's the brightest that the Ulanzi L1 will go. Right, this is spooky and it is 4 o'clock in the morning. The things I do for you. Look, you can make your own judgments from that test, but I've got to tell you, I absolutely love this little gadget. You've got to keep in mind that action cameras like the DJI Osmo Action have absolutely tiny, tiny sensors. They're designed to work in daylight only, basically, and you can't expect a small light to work miracles, but having one definitely made the video better, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper to buy a nice little light than it would to buy a large sensor camera. This light cost me £30. A decent camera with a large sensor will cost you at least £300. So, this Ulanzi L1 has a 1000 mAh battery that will last 80 minutes at full charge. That's amazing, quite frankly. And it can be charged on the go using a power bank. It's just so damn versatile, and I'm genuinely delighted to add this to my vlogging rig. What's interesting is that the Ulanzi L1 Lite looks a hell of a lot like my GoPro Hero5 Session, and both devices have exactly the same size battery inside at 1000 mAh. As it happens, my second purchase of the week relates to the GoPro Hero5 Session. This GoPro was the first device I ever reviewed on this channel, and I told you all about how much I loved it. The tiny size makes it the perfect vlogging camera in many situations. People are always surprised when I say that because they know I have much better cameras than this sitting in my cupboards. However, the main benefit of the Hero5 Session for vlogging is that it's inconspicuous. Nobody notices it. There are many situations where using a camera will attract attention, and sometimes, in some situations, people can become defensive or even angry if they see you walking around with a large camera. There are some situations where police or security guards will come up to you and demand that you stop filming. They may even try and confiscate your camera and then delete your footage. Obviously, that's not likely to happen in the UK or the US, but if you're a travel vlogger, there are plenty of third world shitholes where human rights just don't exist. And sadly, thanks to security legislation, even British citizens passing through British airports no longer have basic human rights protections, and if you're a libertarian like me, then that will really piss you off. Anyway, I digress. The big advantage of the Hero5 Session is that it's practically invisible. The disadvantages are that it's got a short battery life, it can't be mounted on a regular tripod or monopod, and you can't mount a light or microphone to it. Now, there's not much you can do about the battery life, but there is a third-party product that can help with the other two issues. It's a camera cage specifically designed for the Hero5 Session. It's by a company called Soonsun, and mine arrived yesterday. Now, this cage is made of sturdy aluminium with an optional plastic lens protector. As you'd expect, it fits the device perfectly, and it isn't much bigger than the standard Hero Session frame. It has a little switch at the bottom to open and securely close the back door. This camera cage also allows you to connect the Hero5 Session to a regular tripod, like so, and I can also attach my Ulanzi L1 waterproof light to the cold shoe at the top of the cage. Basically, what this cage has done is given me a backup vlogging rig, which can be used in circumstances where my normal rig would attract too much attention. This cost me £22, which is twice the price of the normal Hero Session frame, but I think the Soonsun cage is 10 times as good, so that's a bargain price. You know what? I said I wasn't going to do a water resistance test, but seeing as I've now got a waterproof light attached to a waterproof camera, we might as well give it a quick dunking. Are we okay? So, there you have it, another week of successful gadget purchases. There are links in the description as usual if you want to buy any of the products I've mentioned. This has been another episode of Tech Tuesdays. I'll be back again next week with more. Later, nerds!